while you sleep, fellow travelers, there are people across America absolutely and utterly fixated with hypermiling. They have hypermiling competitions. They maintain hypermiling blogs. They do studies. To find out more about it, we thought it would be best to go to the guy who is considered, in this country at least, to be the best hypermiler anywhere. Wayne Gerdes joins us on the phone from Illinois this morning. Wayne, thank you so much for joining us.
Good morning.
So what's the layman's definition of hypermiling?
Well, hypermiling is pretty simple in layman's terms. It'll be, let's say you own a Honda Accord that gets 24 city, 34 highway. What you need to do is average 29 miles per gallon over the lifetime of the vehicle. And you'd be very surprised at how few people can actually do that when they actually maintain the records. And that means year-round through the winter, the summer, the air conditioning, the heat, the short trips, the long trips, put it all together. And if you can average or maintain that EPA combined, you're what I consider a hypermiler.
So getting better mileage than the EPA says you're going to be able to get, then you're hypermiling.
That is correct.
Well, what are the basic techniques of hypermiling? This isn't about having to have a supercar. This is about specifically changing the way you drive and maintain your car, right?
Well, mostly maintaining the way that you drive. It's a paradigm shift.
Okay.
And what happens, and I'll just give this right off the top, is there's only 2 to 3% of the drivers in this country that are actually hypermilers. They might have an individual trip that beats the EPA combined or the EPA highway, but overall, when they look at from the day they pick up the car till the time it's disposed of, they don't even come close.
Well, I don't think most people know that they can do anything to affect their car's gas mileage. You kind of think that, you buy your car, this is the gas mileage it gets, and it's a done deal. Certainly before I knew about, I had been told keep your tires inflated, but other than that, I've never heard that you could really do anything to change your gas mileage.
Well, there's basic and then there's advanced techniques. The basic techniques will get you to the EPA combined without too much hassle, but it has to do with not using quick accelerations or braking heavily, not idling excessively at stoplights or when a railroad is, going by down the tracks and you're sitting there waiting for 10 minutes.
How do you avoid idling? By turning off the engine?
By actually turning off the engine, and it is actually encouraged in some of the cities around the United States. I know New York has a idling program, and especially in Europe, they have a severe idling program. If you're sitting anywhere, they actually will give you a ticket for idling for no apparent reason.
And the energy necessary to start your car back up again after you're ready to move doesn't counterbalance the...
We're talking 7 to 10 seconds worth of energy. So if you can shut your car down for over 7 to 10 seconds easily, I'd recommend that you do shut it down. And not for all instances. If you're waiting for a light and it's going to be close, there's no reason to do that. But yeah, for any kind of a long light or something, I do recommend that myself.
Have you ever... I'm just imagining my driving teacher from high school, listening in on this right now and thinking, oh, that sounds very unsafe. I've learned to drive on a standard, and I know that one of the hypermiling techniques that I've read about is that you should basically pop the car into neutral and do a lot of coasting as best you can. And that's one thing that I was always told not to do for safety reasons, because then you're not in control of the car. Presumably there are some safety implications to some of this stuff.
There is, and there is some illegalities to the advanced hypermiling techniques that I use and that some of us use. But again, you are in control of your car. It's you got to consider when's the last time you got hit from behind versus when you hit something else in front. And basically hypermiling makes you more aware of the traffic and the obstacles around you because you are paying attention for fuel economy, not just for safety. You add them both together and you become a different driver.
What's the best gas mileage you've ever gotten? What's kind of your hypermiling gold medal?
It depends if I'm in a hybrid or non-hybrid. I was in a competition a few weeks ago up in Madison, Wisconsin, at Hybrid Fest, where I took a 2005 Honda Insight to 180.9 miles per gallon over 20 mile per gallon challenge, fuel economy challenge. And that just about did it for mass-produced automobiles. Nobody's ever come close to that.
Did you do that without modifying the car?
Basically, yeah. We removed everything that was in the car, and the individual that owned this car out of Seattle, he let me borrow it. he had already removed the mirrors, but he had an internal camera put in. And that was basically for aerodynamics, but the speeds we were traveling on this mostly urban city country course was well below anything the mirrors would have added. And it was just using some of the techniques that I use, and the outcome was pretty outstanding.
So you need to not be accelerating too much. You need to stay off the brakes, basically, right?
Well, one of the techniques they call it, it's called driving without brakes. It doesn't mean you don't have brakes. It just means you drive as if you do not have brakes. And that you create buffers in traffic so that everybody that's going 0 to 10 and 0 to 20 and 0 to 30 and back to 10, you created a buffer so that you try and stay around 10 or 15 miles an hour the whole time while they're stopping and going, stopping and going.
So you're just anticipating the traffic around you enough so that you're not having to brake.
That's one way to look at it. And another would be an anticipatory 3-light out focus. And what I do while I'm going down the suburban areas, I'm looking out not just 1 or 2 lights, but 3 lights. And I'm letting the rabbit time the rabbits. Those are the guys that are always on the floor with their accelerator and then on the brakes at every single light. You're letting those guys brake the lights, and they're turning green by the time I get there.
I love that you have derogatory terms for bad non-hypermiling drivers.
Yeah, there's plenty, and everybody sees them every day, and if they could just break those habits, you'd be surprised how much not only they could save, but what they could do for our country.
Do non-hypermiler drivers find hypermiler drivers annoying on the road? Like, do you get road rage stuff?
They can in some instances, but we try to maintain, one of the techniques I use is called ridge riding. And what ridge riding is if I'm going down the highway, I'm on a 55 mile per hour limited road, I'll be cycling between, let's say, 47 and 60 miles per hour using some of the techniques that I use. Mm-hmm. But my right wheels are on the white line, on the right lane. And truckers and most people that are paying attention notice that something's different about me than everybody else on the road, and they'll be moving out of the way long before they ever get to me. Yeah. And the ones that don't, you just have to get the accelerator, even once in a while use the emergencies. If you're going 55 and a 55, there's no reason that you should be pressured into doing anything but following the speed limit.
Well, the gains that you've been able to achieve in cars that aren't significantly modified, at least, I think are kind of eye-popping. And I'm not sure that everybody thinks that they can get the kind of mileage that you can and be as good at it and dedicated as it that you can. But if everybody could actually increase their gas mileage without just by changing their habits, it might actually make a very big difference.
Oh, not only a big difference. Of course, everybody knows about the BP pipeline going down last week, and it's only a partial. If everybody received just 1 to 1.5 miles per gallon more over the next, let's say, 3 months, we could we won't need that extra 1.5% or whatever you want to call it. Really 8% of a shutdown, but 4% is half the pipeline. Yeah. If everybody just got 1.5 more miles per gallon over these next 3 months, we wouldn't miss that fuel unavailability from the BP pipeline shutdown.
They wouldn't need to open that thing back up.
And to get 1.5 miles per gallon is so easy. It's just all you have to do is slow down, pay a little bit more attention to what you're coming into, pay a little bit more attention to the type of cars and vehicles and obstacles around you. And, I can't even think of leaving the driveway without getting 1.5% better, let alone driving down the road. So if you just pay attention, we've got plenty of write-ups on my own website called Clean MPG that will help most individuals get far beyond where the ATA's readings are. That's about where we sit.
CleanMPG.com. We put a link to it at our website, MaddowOnline.com. Wayne Gerdes, thanks for sharing your expertise with us. We appreciate it.
Oh, you're great, Neil. Thank you very much for giving me a call.
Great. Wayne Gerdes, possibly the best hypermiler in the world. We put a link to his website, including all the techniques that you can get to. For improving your own gas mileage, you don't need to have a hyper